Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel. This is video number 4 for the jewelry box quilt. So if you want to see how we went from this to this with all the blocks sewn together, please stay tuned. Excited to get started sewing this jewelry box quilt together. I have I chose my fabrics. I have cut squares and pulled some 2.5-inch strips. I did have to cut a few 2.5-inch strips for this top. I will link the previous videos where I showed choosing the fabric, where I made the blocks, and where I did the squaring up. So I'll link all those in the description. Today I'm happy that it's time to sew it together. Now what I've done is, as I was squaring the blocks up, I did a layout on the on my design wall, and basically this is a 50 block quilt, and it's 5 across and then 10 down. Right now it's sort of sideways. It doesn't matter, but I mean, that's just a point of reference. That because of the size of my design wall, it is longer than it is tall, but that really doesn't matter. So the basic layout is, it's a color frame followed by a light frame on the top row, and then light color second row, and it continues on down. Okay, so I have a layout. This is not the final layout, but I want to spend a little bit of time going over what I want to fix about the layout before I start sewing things together. So there are a couple of issues that I have with this particular layout. One is, as I was cutting the fabrics, or as I was cutting the squares, all of the green blocks, I guess I sewed them at the same time, and so they were together. And they're right here on this side. So there's 1, 2, 3 green blocks right in the same row. This is another one of the green blocks, and I don't want it. Well, I want to spread the green out a little bit more. Another issue is I just want to make sure that I have enough color variation throughout the quilt. On camera, this part of the quilt looks a lot lighter, but I think that's because of all of these light frames. Some of the frames ended up being whiter. I would have preferred a more cream, but I have a lot of white, and that's okay. What I want to do is spread out some of the off-whites and tans to make it more cohesive throughout. And the same with the blues. I need to vary the blues a little bit more throughout the quilt. So I'll speed up the video, but I took a picture on my phone of the before, and I'm going to take another picture of the after, and then we can kind of compare them to see the differences. As you lay out your quilt, I would encourage you to do the same thing. If you have a wall, that will work, but it also works on the floor. I've done it both ways. So I'm going to speed up the camera here and start the process of moving some things around. The blocks arranged in a way that's pretty pleasing to my eye, so I'm really excited about that. The next step is I want to think about pressing. That's definitely important as I get ready for this step. And since I did most of my blocks with technique 1, let me show you what technique 1 looks like here close to the camera. Make sure, Stop moving like. Okay, so what that means is that I sew the two sides on first here and then the top and bottom. Now what that gives us is two seams or two sides that have two seams on them and then one side that has no seam. So I'm going to make sure that these that the seams can nest okay. So I'm going to take the dark frames and I'm going to put the seams horizontal, the long seams horizontal, and no, vertical. And then I'm going to take the light frames and put the seams horizontal. So I'm going to arrange that and then I'll show it to you on the camera so that you can see it. So my blocks are were made with technique 2, and the techniques I'm referring to, they're from video 2. So if you want to check that out, that link is in the description box. So I'm going to do that right quick and then I'll show you what that looks like on the camera before we start sewing everything together. I'm going to show you a quick close-up of the first 2 rows. If you look at the top row, that long seam is vertical, then horizontal, and so on. You can see the color frames, they are straight up and down vertical, and then the light frames, the long seams are horizontal. And the way that I went through and got it together, I was saying vertical, horizontal, and so on all the way down. And here's the second row. You can see the same thing. And it's that way on down the quilt. Now there are some blocks that were made with method 2, with technique 2, like this one. And so what you see is 2 seams that are going to butt up against each other. And I'm just not going to stress about that. That's only like 2 blocks or 3 blocks. So there's this one, and then there's this one, and there may be another one, but I don't remember. But either way, they're going to be cute. So now it's time to sew them together. It's time to start sewing this quilt top together. I am a little bit nervous about it, but I think it's going to be fine because I know this is really easy sewing. Now, even though I have it laid out with the horizontal rows that have 10 and the vertical columns that have 5, I'm actually going to sew the columns first together and then the rows. So I'm going to start on, I don't know which end to start on, it probably doesn't matter. I'm going to start here. And I'm going to kind of start at the bottom and go up. So I'm going to fold these 2 down. I'm going to fold this light frame down on top of this this frame. And then I'm going to stitch along the side. I am going to chain piece this whole thing. So it's going to be, I'll do what I can do on this row. And then I'll go to the next row and keep going. As long as I can keep the chain piecing together, I'm going to do that. As far as the pressing, I think that I'm going to try to press toward the solid fabric. So whatever side doesn't have the 2 seams, that's going to be the side that I'm going to press to, because hopefully it'll give me the best flatness. Hopefully it'll lay flatter that way. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I'm not sure where to put the camera for this part. I probably will have to speed it up. I'll do 1 row and then whatever I can do on this row, and then I'll show you the first row. So let me go ahead and get started. We'll speed up the video here, I guess. I really don't know. I'll get started and then we'll see where I can actually show you what I'm doing. Row 1 all stitched together here. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a press. I'm going to press it 3 times. I'm going to press front, then back, then front. And it looks really good. And the camera is a little bit in my pressing way, so, you know, it's okay. All right, and then I'm going to press from the back this time. And I want to show you the seams here, because I did press toward the solid strip. So you can see it here and here, so these 2 seams actually go toward each other, but this is one whole block, this is a block, this is a block. And so I have my my seams pressed toward that solid strip where there was no seams. So, and then after, wait, did I press this already? No. So let me press it on the back. I'm just giving it as much of a chance to lie flat. And since these rows are only 5 blocks long, it's not even a big deal to press it 3 times. Okay. So I'm just pressing down the seam allowances and making sure they're going the way I want. All right, and then from this point, I'm going to press it one more time right side up and take it back to the design wall. Okay, and then after this, I'm just going to go ahead and finish up all the other 9 rows. I've already started the 2nd row, but I'm just going to go ahead and finish these up. I'll show them to you before I sew all the rows together. So I'll be right back. So I have most of the rows sewn together here. Hopefully you can see that they take up a little bit less room than they did before. I am about to press this row, and then I still have this part, the rest of this row, on the sewing machine. And so, but I still want to keep chain piecing. So in order to continue my chain piecing, I'm going to start sewing these rows together. And all I'm going to do is just flip this row right sides together with this row, and then start sewing. I do want to show you, I'll go ahead and pull these 2 down. Let me see if I can do this. That these seams should nest. So let's see. Let me check and see what we can see on the camera. Okay, so this is the intersection of the block right here. And you're going to see that the top seam goes to the right, the bottom seam goes to the left. So they should nest nicely when I get ready to sew them. And so that's going to be really neat. Since I just took these down and I have to go and press, I'm going to put a pin right here at the top so I know which way is up. And so the only thing I have left is to stitch the rows together, and then we'll have let me come back here. All I have to do is stitch these rows together, then we'll have a quilt top. Now I would say a completed quilt top, but it's not quite completed. There's one more step that I'm going to show you next week, but let me get these together and so you can see what they look like. Excited to see all of these blocks sewn together. To me, it looks so cool, and it was really simple. The whole process was simple, from pulling the fabrics to making this super simple block, arranging these blocks into rows, and now having it all sewn together. Now, if you chose to, you could just sew a border around this and make it a quilt. However, these are just boxes. They are not exactly jewelry boxes yet. So please stay tuned for the next video, because we're going to make a little bit of magic happen and twist these boxes around just a little bit. It has been a great process so far. I can't wait to see this next step. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and put this video together, and I'm going to immediately go ahead and make the next one because I want to see the magic happen already. So stay tuned for that. Check out my blog for a download. It may take a day or two to get the download up, but hopefully this video was super simple and you could see how everything went together. But again, there will be a download coming up soon on my blog. If you have any questions about what you've seen in this video, leave them in the comments below. Check out the previous videos for this jewelry box quilt. They will be linked in the description box below. Thumbs up this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. Remember, we're going all the way to 10K subscribers, and I'd love for you to be a part of that journey. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!